It was a sunny morning in Ponyville, and Sunlight Ray was getting ready for his work at Sweetie Drop's candy store. He had been working there for about a year, since he recently moved to Ponyville about a year earlier. He was originally from Trottingham. Before he moved to Ponyville, he had this amazing time there. He has some amazing friends, and most of all, an amazing girlfriend. They had been together for about 5 years, and he had even planned to propose to her on their 5th-year anniversary. And he had actually all followed out, going to ask her to marry him in the park. But on the day before that, he was going to ask her, all things broke apart in his life. It turns out, the day before his proposal, one of his closest friends saw his girlfriend talking to another stallion at a cafe nearby. Normally that wouldn't be any much problem, because he had a lot of male friends, but this time this friend saw her with the smell that the stallion just talking, laughing, which normally weren't seen Benny suspiciously. But then, suddenly, both of them leaned forward and gave each other a kiss. That shocked his friend. He couldn't even believe it first himself. But before that he could notice him, he just stepped away and ran as fast as he could all the way to Sunlight Ray's home. He knocked on the door, and he asked if he could come in because he saw that his friend was shocked, and he sat down in the living room. First his friend was silent because he didn't know how to bring this up to his friend. Ever since they have been friends ever since they were in the kindergarten. But knowing that his Sunlight Ray's girlfriend had been cheating on him with this particular stallion would break his heart. And especially, this friend was the only one who has been told about this idea of proposal. But when he was told, Sunlight Ray broke apart. He felt his heart was broken in thousands of pieces. He could not have imagined. His 5-year long-term relationship had fallen apart. He thought to himself, what made her to do this? He thought that he had an amazing life, that he loved her so deeply and that she loved her deeply. But something did have made her to do this. At first he didn't even want to believe any of this at all, at first. But he said to his friend, you must have been seeing wrong. No, I didn't. I saw her. It was her. Are you sure? Yes. So it wasn't any other mare that looks like her. No, it was really her. I saw her. And at that day, he actually met up with his girlfriend at the park to have this talk. They normally do meet up at the park after his work shift. But then he asked her about how her day were, and she said that her day has been good. She has been at work, met up with some of her friends, but then suddenly he didn't brought up this subject. If she had been seeing another stallion behind his back. She tried to make this an excuse or tried to find a way to make excuse or saying that was ridiculous. She never do that because she loved him. But then he actually told her that his best friend had seen her at this cafe and they were kissing. Knowing that, it made her to realize it was no point to try to make any other excuses. So she told him directly what had happened. Apparently, the stallion was a good friend of hers, and for about the past 2 months, she had been falling in love with him, still being in love with Sunlight Ray. She didn't want to break up with him because she loved him so deeply. But this stallion showed so much passion, so much love. And then Sunlight Ray asked her what made her to be doing this in the first place. I mean, he was very curious to be knowing exactly what made her decide to go behind his back. She could have told him that if something was wrong in their relationship, he could try to make this try to work out, or he would have understood that she didn't love him anymore. She couldn't at least do that. But she said that she was still very much curious how this other stallion would end up with, but she was also conflict herself in her heart. She had now found true interest in Sunlight Ray and this other stallion. And then Sunlight Ray did something that he were supposed to be doing the next day. He showed her the ring and said he was going to propose to her on their anniversary the next day. But now he regret ever doing it. Knowing that he was going to ask her to marry her, she immediately felt regretted what she did. She tried to ask him that she could still they can try to work it out and that she would break up with this other stallion and telling him that she made a big mistake and that she didn't want to be with him. But the damage was beyond repaired. He's told her it is no way for her to be with him anymore and just left. After that, he didn't see her. After that, even she tried to go to his apartment a few times to try to talk to him, but he refused to even listen to her. His friends was told, and they all were shocked. But they most of them didn't first believe it at all. But when his best friend did confirm that he actually saw them, and that even Sunlight Ray could actually confirm it. And then, after all this happened, only 2 months later, he had moved out from his apartment and lived with his parents temporarily until he could find another place to stay. His parents tried to convince and tried to maybe work it out with her, but he refused to listen. He didn't want to be with her, especially though only about a month earlier he had heard that she had got be engaged with this other stallion instead. Even if she was willing to give it a try to work it out, but realizing it was no point, so they should get back to the other stallion and be with him instead. And almost after that, after being living with his parents for about 2 months, he moved far away from the town and lived in Ponyville. And so for the past year, he had met a new friends in town. He has a great job, and but he still remained in contact with his old friends back home, and they often get to see him when he gets back for a visit. But for most of the time though, they had often told him about his ex-girlfriend that they had moved far away from Trottingham, and that's basically they didn't know about it. They thought maybe that he had moved on by now, that he had found another mare to be with. But truth is though, over the years since he moved to Ponyville, he hasn't been considered to do any dating at all. And as many much of her new friends had asked him about it, they knew much about not they know much about his past, only that he was a part of a bad breakup, and he didn't want to be do anything with serious relationship for that moment. So he did decided to be just single for some time. But all that changed though. Ever since he met, he saw this mare by the name Crystal Peah. Crystal Peah was one of the most beautiful mares he had ever seen in town. But he didn't know much about her, but he later learned from his friend Pinkie Pie that Crystal Peah was actually a friend to her, but just recently had moved to Ponyville from Manhattan. But Crystal Peah, she had recently been engaged with the stallion also from Manhattan. But later turns out that he was no longer in love with her, and that he had fallen in love with another mare. So she decided to try to maybe move on from this point in life. So she moved to Ponyville, where she had some other friends who already lived, and that was the most of her life that Pinky knew about. But over time, even that he thought that Sunlight Ray thought that she was beautiful, and he then started to get to know her even better. They started hanging around each other at the park or anywhere. But then one day she asked him if he wanted maybe to go see this new go to the comic club for just has a good time. And he said yes. And then he asked her if this was like a date. But she said no, this is some two friends hanging out. And he understood because he was a bit confused. But even there, they had this amazing time. They had this a great time, just having laughter. There's all those ponies who performed, and even afterwards, he did actually mention that he had a good time. But during all this time, when he would just be there, one day he actually went back to Trottingham to see his family. Then some of his parents that his mother had often asked, "So, have you found any new mares into dating? Or any fiancé or wife?" His mother tried to at least find a way to try to convince him to start dating again, and that he had moved on already. But his father was more opposite. He had said to his wife, though, "Honey, you cannot push our son to do dating again after what happened to him. Even if it was a year ago, let the time to heal the wounds that he had been going through. I mean, if this was you, would you have been going out there so easily, so fast?" For my idea, no, I wouldn't. So I understand if Sunlight Ray didn't want to go out on a date right now. Even if he finds another mare to be with, let the time to take its course. We cannot rush into that. Even his mother didn't want to listen, because once he was staying in Trottingham for about a week, she had put up on some blind dates for him. But when he found out, he wasn't happy. He told his mother by calm voice, but said, "Mom, if you try to put up a date for me where I'm staying here, you are so much mistaken for that. I don't want to date any pony at the moment. I've told you that thousands of times." But his mother didn't want to listen. "But Sonny, please," and that was his nickname for him from his mother. "Give it a try. Give it a try at least." "Fine, I will give it a try, okay?" And he went to this blind date with his mare, but even most of the time they both agreed they were not matched. So when he came back home, she asked him, "Well, how did you go?" It was, "Well, but we both agreed we're not a match." "Oh, and if you have another mare in mind, please don't." And his father was completely unaware about this, though. But when he told his father about the scene when he came home from work, he was not happy. "Honey, I have told you not to interfere with our son's life. If he is not ready to be dating, you not should try to push him into that. Even if you want him to be happy. But if he has not been feeling ready to be dating, you don't interfere with that." But she didn't listen. So she tried again. But this time, here, but this time though, Sunlight Ray decided to give it a try. Even if it didn't want to seem to work, but for some reason though, this particular mare had some common interest with him and decided to go on a date with her. And they actually went on a few days afterwards. And his mother seems to be happy, but his father was not that much happy. He believed that how much even how much he tried to talk to his wife about this, but never seemed to work. It would connect with her. But at least, as long that his son seems to be happy, he is happy for his son, even if there's nothing to be working on it. But after about 6 months with dating this particular mare, seems to be going well between them. Until one day, then they had a fight over where to go for dinner, so to celebrate their 6 months anniversary. He wanted to be at one location, which has some amazing good food, but she wanted to go to more some exotic food place, which has more expensive but more exclusive food. But he didn't have that much money for that. But she tried to convince him maybe they can ask his parents for some loan, some money, so that they can go celebrate. But he tried to tell his parents about this, but they didn't want to be given how much money for it. So she said, "If you don't love me anymore, or at least want to do this for me, then I don't want to see you anymore. Fine, I don't want to see you either." And he just left. And his mother wasn't happy. "Please, try to convince her, try to work out." But he said, "No, Mom, this is the final thing you ever do. I don't want you anymore to do this anymore, please." And then the next day, he went back to Ponyville. And it was about 2 days after he came home when he said to one of his friends, "I'm done with dating." And Spike, who was one of his newest close friends, said, "Why are you saying that?" He said, "Well, my mom tried made me dating this particular mare for about 6 months." "Well, wait, she put up with this?" "Yeah, twice." "Oh, so if you're not much in for dating, but let's say if you were ready for dating, for who would you date?" "That's a good question, Spike. But I want to be with some pony who is smiling, happy, honest, funny, but most of all, honest." But seems to be almost impossible to find that particular mare to be with. My ex-girlfriend, I thought was the right one for me, but you know history will happen. "Yeah, I do," says Mike. "But you should try maybe do something else, maybe speed dating." "I don't know, perhaps I will think about it." But then suddenly another voice here. "Well, you should try to give it a chance." And not Discord, who suddenly appeared from middle of nowhere. "Discord, you know I don't like you doing that. Sorry, but you know I have just want to be couldn't couldn't stop myself from hearing what you're talking about. You should try this speed dating. If after all, that was how I end up with Fluttershy." "That Discord, we already knew that you dated this Fluttershy even before that." "Oh, did I? Oh, I didn't realize that," said Discord and just disappeared. "He is always a mysterious about him." "Indeed," said Spike. A few days later, after what he had thought about that speed dating, after Spike used to ask about it, he thought maybe give it a try. So he signed up for a try at some local speed dating locations, and they saw there was quite a few mirrors and some stallions, but among them was actually Crystal Peah. He asked her why she's there. I mean, she seems to be quite happy with not be with any pony. Turns out it was Rarity who tried to convince her to try this speed dating, at least for some of this one going to work. And of course, he decided maybe it was time to maybe do it a try. So she did. They actually end up at the same table around just and before this entire speed dating was over. Even after speed dating, they walked out to this location together, just laughing about how this happened, how much they had so much in common. It turns out they love the same music, the same love of food, but they have another thing in common: being left by the pony they love the most. And of course, Crystal Peah told Sunlight Ray that she thinks that he is a very handsome pony, or at least a very handsome stallion, and that it's a very mystery that he hasn't found any still mare to be with. And he did explain to her that he actually, in fact, had been dating a mare for about 6 months, but that was so recently that he decided to break up with her. And that was actually his mother's idea to put up with this twice. And that made her laugh, and I was saying, I know that why parents would do that. I don't know why parents don't want to try to interfere with yours, or even perhaps even my love life in the future. I mean, this is something we both can laugh about. Yeah, you're right, but still though, I cannot even imagine why my mom wasn't even trying to do this in the first place. I just want to be happy, sure. She wants me to be happy, I can understand that, but try to force me to be with some pony that perhaps even love, it isn't. There isn't word to be with some pony that you don't love. It's like being in a relationship with some you don't even care about. Not the same way. I agreed with that. And then she asked him if he would like to maybe go out to have some maybe ice cream or something the next day. And he said yes. So the next day they went to the park where they had an ice cream. And they just sit there, talked and talked for almost seems for hours, which was. They actually sat there from noon to almost sunset. And they hadn't even forgot about time. They didn't even imagine how much time had passed between them. As they sat there talking, almost basically anything. It could be from random things like they're from some basically from the childhood or to some things they interest in. But as they sat there, they saw the sunset puzzily going down. And then, even as they stood there, Crystal Peah had fallen asleep on Sunlight Ray's hoof. He just looked down at her with a smile and thought, how cute she is when she's sleeping. And looked at the sunlight and the sunset and thought, maybe this is the mirror I could be with. We have a lot of thoughts, same interest, some things in common. He said to himself without trying to wake her up. As the sun had set down beyond the horizon, as the moon rises, he couldn't bring himself to wake her up. So he carried her on his back to his home. He let her sleep on his bed while he slept on the couch all the rest of the night. But before he fell asleep, though, he said to himself, maybe I should perhaps even ask her out on a date tomorrow, if she would like to do it. I really hope for it. Then he fell asleep. The next day, when Crystal Pia woke up, she was like, where am I? This is not my bed. But then she heard a voice singing, and she slowly walked out and saw Sunlight Ray. And then she realized she was actually in his home, and she wonders, has something happened during that night? So she walked out to the kitchen, and he said, "Oh, you're up. Good morning. I made some breakfast. You want something?" And she asked him if something did happen last night, but he said no. You see, you fall asleep at the park during sunset, so I couldn't bring up myself up to wake you. So I decided to bring you to my home, let you sleep here overnight. I hope you don't mind that. But where did you sleep? Oh, I slept on the couch. I'm quite used to it. It happens almost all the times. So they decided to have their breakfast, and they talked about it the day before, and both actually had agreed that had a good time. They even forgot about time though. And then Sunlight Ray then asked if she would like to go out with him, maybe on a date or something, maybe to the movies or dinner. And she actually thought about it and said yes. They decided to go to the movies the next day, which since that day they didn't have, since that particular the day which now she had to go home earlier because she had things to take care of, like chores, and then she had to help some friends, which she did mind. But after all that happened, he felt happy. And before she left, she actually gave him a kiss on the cheek and said, she had this amazing time and thanks for the breakfast. And that made his heart melt right away. He didn't know then, but he had finally found his true love without knowing it at first. The next day, when Sunlight Ray were just walking around the town, just walking around, he encountered Discord with Spike. Oh, Sunlight Ray, how are you? I'm actually good. So, did you ask her out yet? Who? Don't blame me, but did you even ask, Crystal Peah out yet? Wait, how did you know? And then Discord explained that he was actually flying over them, so that was not on purpose, as he said. Oh, yeah, actually I did, and she said yes. That's great, said Spike. So, where are we going here? Where are we going? We are going to the movies tonight. Oh, that is actually that's a good start for the date. Yeah, it is. So, I hope it goes well between you two. I hope so too. I will take it slowly. Yeah, should that. That's a good idea, says Spike. Rest of the day, though. Sunlight Ray was so happy, and he could not stop thinking about Crystal Peah. Crystal Peah, though, she thought about the same thing. She felt so happy, and knowing how much that they watched sunset together, and that she had fallen asleep on his hoof, and that he didn't took her home, let her sleep in his bed, was something very romantic, and that he made breakfast for her. And when she told Rarity the night after her work shift, she was a bit surprised though that she ended up with Sunlight Ray, but as long as she's happy. And later that evening, when Sunlight Ray was waiting just outside the movie theater, he saw Crystal Peah in his red dress with his red ribbon. It made his jaw drop. You, you look amazing. And she smiled as a thanks. And even there, they had this amazing time laughing all out this comedy movie. And even after there, they decided that maybe they were getting hungry, so they went to this local restaurant was still open. So they have a great time there. There, they even talked mostly about the movie itself, like what they liked about it, what they thought about characters, and even from Sunlight Ray's perspective, he felt happy, and he had never been this happy ever since his ex-girlfriend broke up with him. And he had then thought maybe that she could have been that Crystal Peah could have been the right pony for him. For the next couple of days afterwards, things seem to be going quite well between them. They have lunch together when they have lunch breaks and often walk together home to his home or her home, just having a great time either playing cards or just reading their new books together, since that was something they actually love to do. But then, as the winter arrived, they decided to celebrate their first heartwarming Eve together, since that Crystal Peah didn't have any other family members back home, since her mother passed a year before he moved. So she had no father, who also passed when she was just very young, and no siblings. And but that didn't mind for her, as long as she was with Sunlight Ray, which, amazing though, was a perfect time. But around the springtime, Sunlight Ray got a message from his mother, asking him if he will be over for a visit sometimes. And they were still unaware that he had been dating Crystal Peah over time. And he thought maybe it was time to introduce her to his family. But when he brought up this topic up to her, he did notice that how nervous she were, that how much they even would like her. But he ensured her they will like her because she is so beautiful and as kind as anyone could ask for. So they decided to go to Rottingham to see his family. And when they came there, they actually met his older sister at the train station with his younger brother. And they were actually first to meet her, and they actually both loved her. And but that even would make the thing even worse though, if one was going to see his parents for the first time. But as Steve was happy to know that his mother wasn't home at the moment, but his father was, and he immediately adored her. That he thought maybe she was beautiful, but most of all, kind. After been talking about this, but suddenly, when his mother walked in, she was happy to see him, but then she noticed Crystal Peah. She asked him who she was, like most curious tone. He then said that is his new girlfriend from Ponyville. That made her big eyes and start smiling and just walked up to her and said hi. And at first she was a little bit nervous, but after they'd been talked for almost a few minutes, or about 20 minutes, something didn't actually seem to be quite well between them. Crystal Pia felt really relaxed that both his parents were very loving. They didn't judge her or they didn't call her many bad names, but in fact, it was much opposite. Both of them actually loved her because she was very kind, very sweet, and very honest about her true feelings towards him and what she wants perhaps in the future. But then, during dinner, his mother then brought up the topic. So, any plans for wedding, kids yet? That made Sunlight Ray just looked at his mother with a very much shocked face. Mom, we have just been dating for only for about a few months. Are you trying to maybe try to marry her right away? No, I just I used to ask. That made Crystal Pia blush a lot. And Mom, it is possible that I might marry her soon. I just I just want to see if the relationship might work out as I really hope for. But I do hope, but I do know she is the right mare for me and the true love of my life. That made Crystal Pia blush even more. Well, cheers for everyone. Cheers for true love, said his father, and they all cheers. After they came back home to Ponyville, Crystal Pia said to Sunlight Ray that she felt happy that his parents were loving and that they accepted her, especially when the funny comment when his mother asked about if the proposal about the marriage and kids made her laugh, but when he said made her realize maybe one day soon they might be married, and that was something that he would like to do. But for now, they wanted to focus mostly on the future for a moment. They didn't want to rush into marriage so soon because they didn't know if this relationship would last that long or something. So the rest of the year, everything seems going to well. Uh, Sunlight Ray, he went back to his hometown, Nottingham, for some time to time to see his old friends, family, and even though then his love for Crystal Peah had only gotten stronger. But one day during a visit to Trollingham, he ran into a mare on the street. At first, he didn't recognize her, but it turns out to be his ex-girlfriend. and that she was also now married with a stallion, and she had two children with him, two daughters, twins. And at first she didn't recognize them, but she was happy to see him, that he's okay, that he asked how's it been, and he said told her he was okay, that he lived in Ponyville right now, and he has his new girlfriend for the past year, and that's most of all. And she just happy that he had found some pony to be with, and that's basically what happened between them. But only about 6 months later, something did happen. On their 2 years anniversary, after being dating for about 2 years, since it was 2 years, 6 months before they on their two, it was 6 months before their 2 years anniversary. But on their 2 years anniversary, he did actually propose to Crystal Peah, which she said yes immediately. Crystal Peah could not have been more happier to be with Sunlight Ray, especially with some pony like him who has been treating her so quite well over the years, and most of all with so much love and so much care. That made her to realize he was the true love that she had been waiting for. And on the wedding, and especially their friends and family, and his family was so beyond of joy knowing that he had actually asked the big question. On the wedding day, Fluttershy had been asked to be Crystal Peah's bridesmaid and Spike to be Sunlight Ray's best man. And even afterwards, there's a big party which both Pinky and Discord had organized for them. Everyone there had an amazing time. But even afterwards, there was a time for them to go on their honeymoon. And they actually went to a tropical island resort for about a week. There, they had this amazing time. Swimming around the ocean, just laying on the beach, have some time exploring the city, or just having a great time. About a year later, after they came back home for their honeymoon, Crystal Peah made an announcement to Sunlight Ray that she was pregnant, and that made him shocked of faith. He was so beyond happy that he was shocked of so much joy. And turns out she was having a daughter. When the daughter was about 4 years old, they had another child, a son. But even when their son was about 2, they had another daughter. Even from when Sunlight Ray had moved to Pony, he never considered to be perhaps would be able to find his new true love one day. He didn't want to be with some pony like his ex-girlfriend did, but he was happy that he gave his true love such another chance to be with. Especially when the time when his mother asked him to date his mare for about 6 months, but never worked out. But he was just still happy though that he had found his true love, especially with Crystal Peah. And what made him to realize that she was the right mare for him? He remembers the time at the park that when she had fallen asleep on his hoof during the sunset. That was the moment he realized she was the true love that he has been searching for. If he had even asked, if they hadn't even gone to the park for the ice cream and talked for hours and end up there, he would never have been this happy to have found his true love and have this amazing family with her. Especially when he told this to Crystal Peah, she was beyond happy that he actually had asked her, because she felt the same thing. If she hadn't been with him, she wonders if she ever would have found her true love ever. And from most of that, Crystal Peah, Sunlight Ray were so happy that they had found their true love and, most of all, having this amazing family. And that's how Sunlight Ray and Crystal Peah found a true love and got a big family. The end.